Hello, everybody. Deborah is back with another wonderful business partner that I know through the Casselberry Chamber of Commerce. She serves not only Casselberry, but the rest of the Central Florida area as well when it comes to elder law, probate, and all the different things that are wrapped around in that. Why do I bring her to talk to you today? And by the way, this is Kristine Tucker with Coughlans Law. Hello. Why do I bring her in to talk with you today without a tip? Well, recently I have two family members that have passed away, and one of them thought everything, well, actually, to be honest with you, both of them thought they had everything done, everything organized and ready to go. One of them, and let me see, it's probably been about 4 months and they still don't have certain things that they should have done previously, and they were told that that was done. The other one was extremely organized, and they're really overwhelmed with all the paperwork. So that is very generic. What I would like Kristine to do is just share with you some tips of what to do prior to make things smoother, or anything else that comes to mind, so that way you can reach out to her later to talk details. Kristine, thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, you're very, very welcome. I'm happy to be here. Excuse me. So I know none of this is fun, right? Nobody likes thinking about this. And everybody thinks they have it all organized, but they really don't because you don't think the same way other people do, right? So your organization is not someone else's organization. And it just, I think it's important to keep in mind that when somebody passes, all of their assets get frozen, right? So you can't do anything with the house if it has to go through probate, even if you have a will, it has to go through probate. A lot of people think it doesn't, but it does. Bank accounts get frozen and all of that. So when organizing your thoughts, your paperwork, and all of that, you need to keep in mind people need access to passwords because nobody's getting paper statements anymore. They need to know where the banks are, where the life insurance is, and all these other things. And what helps even more is to also have an estate plan that helps to streamline all of it for them. Because otherwise, I mean, people don't deal with this regularly. I deal with it every day, but people don't generally deal with someone dying. That's not an everyday occurrence. So you don't even know where to start. So, one, organizing everything in such a manner that it's simplified, easy, the person you want to be in charge knows where to find it is very helpful. And then also having that estate plan that's well thought out and takes care of you both while you're alive and when you pass will help make it easier for everyone involved. It really smooths out the process, and it's difficult enough. It makes that grieving process a little bit easier.
That's wonderful. And there's a lot of questions, and this will end up really kind of opening up the can of worms to a lot of other questions that could happen. And again, attorneys know best as far as wills, trusts, estates, all those different little terms that sometimes we can get overwhelmed with. How do they reach you so that way they can end up asking more questions and getting their ducks in a row a little bit more organized?
Okay. They can contact the office and schedule an appointment. I do free consultations for estate planning. During that time, I like to do the same thing. Ask what your goals, thoughts, questions, concerns are, and then tell you a little bit about how the process works. Because if you don't know how probate works, you don't know how trust administration works, it's overwhelming. So here are the reasons why we want to set up an estate plan like this to avoid this, 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 and this. And a lot of times it's things you wouldn't have even thought of. Like real quick, just throwing it out, you don't want to leave money to minors directly because that opens a whole new can of worms and different administrative processes and court procedures and all that. So that's generally what I'll do during a consultation and talk about, there's usually different roads to get to the same place. This one will happen this way and this one will work this way. And so they can certainly just contact the office and schedule something, and we can either do it over the phone, via Zoom, in person, their preference.
And you know what I was thinking of as you were talking right now? There's a lot of online, real simple forms to fill out, and you say, hey, I only have this, so I really don't need a hire attorney. Well, in my opinion, you do. Because like Chuck and I have our own business, and
Yeah.
that for sure you want to hire a professional. But even if you have what you don't think is that complicated of a life or lifestyle, definitely reach out to Kristine and at least have that consultation, and that way you know your options. Sound right?
Yeah, and that the law changes frequently. I don't think people realize that. So, it might be one thing to look at the statutes, but the statutes are interpreted by case law, which is, which changes the statutes down the line and all of this. I sit on the council for this section of the law, real property, probate, and trust section. We meet 4 times a year to talk about law changes that are happening every year. So the problem is you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what's wrong until it's too late to fix it.
It makes sense.
And unfortunately for families, I also practice litigation. And between the probate and the litigation, it ends up costing more over the long run, saving a couple dollars on the front end. So I feel it's best to find someone who practices estate planning and talk to them.
Now, do you prefer to talk to people in person? In other words, should they be within a decent driving distance to the Casselberry office, or can you do things online? Do you cover the whole state of Florida, in other words?
For estate planning, I prefer to stay somewhat local because there's also very strict rules about the way the documents are signed. So we can do most things over the phone, virtually, a lot of email correspondence and all of that. But when it comes to actually signing the documents, that it's preferred to do in office. So that way we know it complies with Florida law. Everything that's checked is checked, and you don't have a problem down the road. But I've had some people come as far as the Tampa area to come over and do it because it is just that one time if you're a little bit too far away, to come regularly.
Got it. Well, thank you again very much for this conversation. If there's anything else that you all have a question on, then you can either reach out to Kristine personally, or if it's something that needs to be put on video so we could share it with everybody else, please reach out to us and comment below, or subscribe whenever you end up having or interested in any of the other business top tips that we have in our community. Thank you so much.
Oh,
And
you're
talk
very
to you
welcome.
soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.